The Velvet Lounge didn't exist on any map. It lived between alleyway shadows and the hum of power lines, a place you found only when it decided you were ready to be found. The sign above the door was a single word, Velvet, burned in pink neon that flickered like a dying pulse. Rain slicked the street, turning the light into a bleeding reflection that crawled toward my shoes. I should have kept walking. Inside, the music breathed instead of played. Low synths throbbed like a heart pressed under glass, and the air tasted metallic, sweet, wrong. Red velvet drapes swallowed the walls, heavy and plush, as if they could muffle screams. Faces floated through smoke and light, beautiful, hungry faces, eyes catching the neon in predatory glints. Everyone looked alive in the way a flame looks alive, bright, desperate, and temporary. A woman met me at the bar without asking my name. She wore black silk and a smile sharpened to a point. "First time?" she asked, already knowing the answer. I nodded. The stool beneath me felt warm, like someone had just stood up, or like it had been waiting. The bartender slid a glass my way. The liquid inside was darker than wine, thick enough to cling to the rim. The smell hit me and I felt it in my throat, a sudden ache, a thirst I hadn't known I had. "What is it?" I asked. "Immortality," the woman said lightly. "With consequences." I laughed, because it sounded like a joke you tell in a place like this. She didn't laugh back. The crowd shifted, opening a path to the stage. A singer stepped into the spotlight, her voice smooth and bruising, wrapping around the room like smoke around a throat. She sang about nights that never ended, about promises made under flickering lights. I felt the words sink into me, heavy as stones. Someone brushed past, fingers grazing my wrist. The touch burned cold. I turned, but the owner of the hand was already gone, swallowed by the velvet dark. A prickle crawled up my spine. This wasn't a club, it was a hunting ground. And the music was bait. I drained the glass before I could stop myself. The liquid slid down, warm and electric, blooming through my chest. My heartbeat stumbled, then steadied into something slower, deeper. The room sharpened. I could hear the whisper of fabric, the subtle crackle of skin stretching over bone. Every pulse in the room sounded loud enough to count. "Careful," the woman murmured. She leaned close, her breath cool against my ear. "Once you taste it, the lounge tastes you back." A door opened at the far end, marked by a velvet rope and a nod from a man with eyes like polished stone. Beyond it, the air changed, cooler, older. I felt a pull in my gut, a gravity that had nothing to do with physics. The woman touched my arm, her fingers digging in just enough to hurt. "Not everyone gets invited," she said. "You did." The hallway beyond was narrow and dim, lined with mirrors that didn't quite agree with reality. In one, my reflection lagged half a second behind my movements. In another, my eyes glowed faintly red. I blinked hard, but the images stayed. A whisper slid along the walls, too many voices braided together, all asking the same question: "Are you willing to pay?" At the end of the hall, a lounge opened up, low couches, crimson lamps, a ceiling that seemed to breathe. Figures reclined in the shadows, their beauty unsettling, their stillness unnatural. They watched me with interest that made my skin tighten. A man rose from the center couch. He wore a velvet jacket the color of dried blood, his smile a careful thing. "Welcome," he said, voice smooth as the drink had been. "We prefer honesty here. It makes the transformation cleaner." Transformation? My mouth felt dry. The thirst was back, gnawing now. He gestured to a table where a silver knife lay beside another glass. This one was fuller, darker. Alive. "Everyone comes to the Velvet Lounge wanting something," he said. "Escape. Power. Forever. What do you want?" The room leaned in. I felt there. Attention like hands pressing me forward. Somewhere behind me, the music swelled, a lullaby for monsters. I want to live, I said, and meant it in the way you mean it when you're afraid of the dark and suddenly understand it's afraid of you too. The man smiled wider. Good, he said. Then listen closely. Immortality doesn't make you less human. It sharpens what's already there. Desire becomes hunger. Love becomes obsession. Fear becomes delicious. He picked up the knife. The blade caught the neon and flared pink. This is the price, he said softly. Blood for blood. Night for night. The velvet lounge gives you forever, so long as you belong to it. The whispering stopped. Silence pressed in, thick as velvet. Somewhere deep inside, something answered. The knife kissed my skin like a secret. It didn't cut at first. It lingered, cold and patient, as if waiting for permission. When the blade finally bit, the pain came soft and sharp all at once, a bright thread pulled tight inside my arm. Blood welled up, impossibly dark under the red lamps, and the room seemed to inhale. Every face changed. The beauty peeled back just enough for me to see it, the tension in their jaws, the dilation of pupils, the way fingers flexed like claws fighting restraint. The thirst inside me roared awake, no longer an ache but a command. My vision tunneled, narrowing to the slow crawl of blood down my wrist. The scent was overwhelming, copper and heat and something sweeter underneath, like memory. Easy, the man in the velvet jacket murmured. His hand closed around my forearm, firm, possessive. Let it happen. Fighting only makes it worse. I believed him. I would have believed anything to make the hunger stop screaming. He guided my arm over the waiting glass. My blood slid in, thick and luminous, pulsing faintly as if it still remembered my heartbeat. When the glass was full, he set it back on the table and took a step away, eyes never leaving my face. Drink, he said. I hesitated for a fraction of a second, long enough to feel the room tighten around me, long enough to understand that hesitation itself was a kind of weakness here. I lifted the glass. It was warm. It trembled slightly in my hand, not from fear, but from anticipation. The first sip burned. Not like fire, like ice breaking skin from the inside. It spread fast, racing through my veins, rewriting something fundamental. My heart stuttered again, then slowed until each beat felt like a deliberate choice. The second sip tasted different, richer, deeper, like night air after rain. By the third, I was drinking without thinking, without breathing. When the glass was empty, I realized the room had gone very quiet. They were watching me with a new kind of interest now. Approval. Ownership. The man nodded once. You're changing, he said. Listen to your body. It will tell you what it needs. My body was screaming. Every sound cut sharp, the rustle of velvet, the faint drip of water somewhere behind the walls, the synchronized thud of hearts outside the room. I could hear them all. Each one was a promise. Each one was a threat. A woman rose from the shadows, her movements fluid, predatory. She circled me slowly, eyes glowing like embers. First hunger is the hardest, she said. You feel like you're dying. You're not. You're shedding. She stopped behind me. I felt her breath at my neck. Close your eyes. I did. The darkness behind my lids bloomed red. Pick a heartbeat, she whispered. Just one. I didn't want to. I wanted to run, to scream, to wake up somewhere bright and ordinary. But the hunger pushed, relentless, and the velvet lounge pressed in around me like a living thing. I focused. Somewhere to the left. A fast rhythm, nervous, human. I hear it, I said. Good, the man replied. Now remember the rule. We don't drain. We don't kill. The lounge feeds, but it doesn't waste. The woman took my hand and placed it against her chest. There was no heartbeat. Just a cold, steady stillness. "We take just enough," she said. "Control is the difference between monsters and legends." She guided me through the door I hadn't noticed before. The hallway beyond was lined with private booths, each curtained in velvet. The music grew louder again, masking the sounds of breath and whispers. In one booth, a man sat alone, glass in hand, eyes half-lidded. He smiled at us, unaware. My throat burned. The woman drew me close, her nails pressing crescents into my palm. "Ask," she said. "Consent makes it sweeter." "May I?" My voice sounded wrong, too smooth, too calm. The man nodded lazily. "Sure," he said. "Everyone does." When I leaned in, the world narrowed to skin and pulse. The scent of him flooded me, warmth, fear, desire braided together. My teeth ached. I felt them shift, subtle but unmistakable, sliding into place. I bit. The taste was overwhelming. Light exploded behind my eyes. His blood sang, memories, emotions, fragments of a life that wasn't mine. I drank just enough to quiet the hunger, just enough to feel the power settle into my bones like a promise. When I pulled back, the man swayed but stayed upright, smiling dreamily. The woman steadied him, murmuring something soft and false. She led me away before I could change my mind. Back in the inner lounge, the man in velvet watched me with satisfaction. "You did well," he said. "That restraint will keep you alive." Alive. The word felt different now. "What happens next?" I asked. He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing mine. "Now," he said, "you learn the real cost. Because the Velvet Lounge doesn't just give immortality. It takes loyalty. Secrets. And sometimes," his smile thinned. "It takes everything you used to be." Behind him, the neon lights flickered. For just a moment, every mirror in the room reflected a stranger with my face, and red eyes smiling back. And deep inside, the hunger waited, patient and endless. Sleep never came. I lay on a velvet couch in one of the lounge's private rooms, staring at a ceiling that pulsed faintly, like it was breathing with me, or instead of me. Time had lost its edges. Minutes stretched thin, then snapped back without warning. Somewhere beyond the walls, the city lived its fragile, temporary life. I could hear it all, sirens miles away, laughter spilling out of taxis, the wet slap of shoes on rain-soaked pavement. Every sound felt intimate. Every sound felt edible. That was when the mirrors started whispering. At first, it was just a trick of reflection. My image didn't quite line up when I moved. A blink too slow. A smile that lingered after my face had gone still. I told myself it was the lighting, the drink, the shock of what I'd become. Then my reflection spoke. "Do you feel it?" it asked softly. I shot upright, heart, or whatever replaced it, lurching. The room was empty. The mirror across from me showed my face, pale and sharp, eyes glowing faintly red. Its mouth was closed. "You're not afraid enough," the reflection continued, lips moving now. "That comes later." I staggered back, my shoulder hitting the wall. "Stop," I whispered. The reflection smiled. "You can't tell me what to do anymore. I'm the part you fed." The glass rippled. A thin red line crawled down the mirror, like a tear of blood, dripping onto the floor and vanishing before it hit. The smell made my stomach twist, old blood, stale and bitter, nothing like the living warmth I craved. The door opened without a sound. The man in the velvet jacket stepped inside, unbothered by the bleeding mirror. "Ah," he said calmly. "You've met yourself. What is this?" I demanded. "I'm losing my mind." He tilted his head. "You already did. This is what grew in its place." He approached the mirror, placing a hand against the glass. My reflection leaned into his touch like a pet. Vampirism doesn't erase who you were, he said. It isolates it. Amplifies it. The mirrors show you what the hunger remembers. Make it stop. He laughed softly. Why would I do that? You need to learn which voice to obey. He turned serious then, eyes darkening. Tonight, you leave the lounge. The word hit harder than fear. Leave? Yes, he said. To hunt without us watching your every breath. To understand what you are without velvet and neon to soften the truth. I don't want to hurt anyone. You already have, he replied gently. You just did it politely. The mirrors went still as he led me out through a side exit. The city air felt thin, cold, wrong against my skin. Neon lights stabbed at my eyes. Every passing human glowed with heat and sound, their pulses roaring like drums in my ears. Rule 1, he said as we walked. Never feed angry. Emotion curdles the blood. We passed a man slumped in a doorway, shaking, eyes unfocused. The hunger lunged at me so hard I stumbled. No, the velvet man snapped, gripping my arm hard enough to bruise. That's rule 2. Never feed desperate. You'll taste yourself in them, and you won't like it. We stopped outside a flickering diner. Inside, a waitress moved slowly, exhaustion hanging off her like a second uniform. Her heartbeat was steady but tired. Human. Safe enough. She'll do, he said. My reflection appeared in the diner window, watching me. Waiting. I went in alone. The bell above the door chimed, too loud. The waitress looked up and smiled, automatic and worn. Coffee? I nodded, sitting across from her at the counter instead of a booth. Close enough to hear the fatigue in her breath. Close enough to smell her pulse beneath sweat and cheap soap. As she poured, my reflection slid into the chrome behind the counter. Its eyes were brighter now. Hungrier. Take more, it urged. You deserve it. I focused on the man's rules. Control. Restraint. Legend, not monster. Long night? I asked her. She laughed weakly. They all are. When she leaned in to refill my cup, I asked softly, can I tell you a secret? She shrugged. Sure. I leaned closer. The world narrowed. My teeth ached. You're safe, I whispered, and bit. Just enough. Her blood was different from the man at the lounge. Thinner. Sadder. It tasted like bills and broken sleep and a life slowly shrinking. I pulled back fast, forcing the hunger down, locking it behind my teeth. She blinked. Did I? Paper cut, I said quickly, pressing a napkin to her wrist. I'm so sorry. She smiled, dazed. Happens. I left money on the counter and walked out shaking. In the alley, I doubled over, nausea twisting through me. My reflection pooled in a puddle at my feet. You felt it, it said eagerly. How easy it would be to take everything. I won't, I hissed. It grinned. Not tonight. When I returned to the velvet lounge, dawn was threatening the sky, a pale sickness creeping over the horizon. The velvet man waited at the door. You passed, he said. But? I asked. But now you know, he replied. The hunger doesn't sleep. It watches. It waits for weakness. Behind him, the mirrors flickered back to life, all of them showing my smiling reflection. And this time, it didn't look like it planned to stay behind the glass. They didn't let me rest. The velvet lounge changed its face before dawn, shedding the seduction and revealing the machinery underneath. The velvet drapes were pulled back to expose walls etched with symbols that looked burned rather than carved. The neon dimmed to a sickly glow, and the music slowed until it sounded like a body being dragged across concrete. I was led underground. The stairs spiraled down far deeper than the building should have allowed. With every step, the air grew colder and older, heavy with the smell of iron and dust. My reflection followed me in the polished rail, no longer lagging behind. It moved when I moved. It breathed when I breathed. At the bottom waited a chamber carved from stone, circular and bare except for a shallow pool at its center. The liquid inside was black and perfectly still. No ripples. No reflection. "This is where loyalty is decided," the man in the velvet jacket said. His voice echoed wrong here, stretched thin. "Immortality binds you to us, but this binds us to you." Others emerged from the shadows. Vampires of every kind, elegant, feral, broken, beautiful. Some looked barely human at all. Their eyes were fixed on me, not with hunger, but with expectation. A woman stepped forward. Her skin was flawless, but too still, like wax worn just enough to seem alive. "You felt the mirrors," she said. "Good. That means the blood took." "What is this place?" I asked. "The ledger," she replied. "Every vampire leaves something here. Memory. Regret. Fear. The Velvet Lounge keeps it, safe." The word felt like a lie. The man gestured to the pool. "You will give it something you cannot live without," he said. "In return, the lounge will protect you. From hunters. From sunlight longer than you should endure. From yourself, most of the time." My reflection surfaced in the black liquid. It wasn't distorted now. It looked solid. Confident. "Give them her," it whispered. My stomach turned. "Give what?" The woman met my eyes, something almost like pity flickering across her face. "The thing that still ties you to the day." Before I could ask, the liquid in the pool began to move. Images rose from it like ghosts: my childhood bedroom, sunlight spilling through cheap blinds, my mother's hands, always busy, always tired, a laugh I hadn't heard in years. Pain hit me so suddenly I screamed. The memories were being pulled out of me, unraveling thread by thread. I felt them stretch, resist, then tear away, plunging into the pool. Each one left behind a hollow ache, like a tooth ripped from my skull. "Stop!" I cried, collapsing to my knees. "Please." "You agreed when you drank," the velvet man said softly. "This is the price." The last image hovered above the pool, a face I loved. A face I had sworn never to forget. The reflection in the liquid smiled up at me. "You don't need this anymore," it said. The image sank. The pool went still. When it was over, I lay on the cold stone floor, shaking. Something essential was gone. I knew it instinctively, the way you know when a limb has been severed even before you look. "What did you take?" I whispered. The woman knelt beside me. "Your anchor," she said. "Without it, the hunger won't tear you apart as easily. But don't worry, it's not destroyed. It lives here now. With us." I tried to remember the face from the last image. I couldn't. Panic clawed up my throat. The man helped me to my feet. "You belong to the Velvet Lounge," he said. "And the lounge belongs to you. Remember that when temptation comes." As if summoned by the word, screams echoed from above. Sharp. Human. The vampires around us tensed, eyes flaring. The man's expression hardened. "Hunters," he said. "They found us." The chamber lights flared red. Weapons appeared from hidden alcoves. Silver blades, guns etched with symbols that burned to look at. The woman pressed something cold into my hand, a thin knife that hummed with energy. "You want to prove your loyalty?" she asked. "Now's your chance." We rushed upstairs into chaos. The velvet lounge was in flames, literal and figurative. Smoke curled through the velvet drapes. Glass shattered. Humans screamed and ran as figures in dark coats moved with brutal precision, firing silver rounds, shouting prayers that scraped against my ears like knives. A hunter turned toward me, eyes wide with fear and determination. He raised his weapon. Time slowed. I could hear his heartbeat. Fast. Young. Terrified. Take him, my reflection urged, now standing beside me in the smoke. All of him. I moved. The knife slid between his ribs with terrifying ease. His blood sprayed hot across my face. The taste hit my tongue and I drank without thinking, without control. His memories flooded me, training, belief, a mother waiting for him to come home. I tore myself away just before it was too late. He collapsed, alive but broken. I stared at my blood-slicked hands, horror and exhilaration tangled tight in my chest. The lounge survived the attack, but it was changed. So was I. As the fires died and the hunters retreated, the velvet man approached me. He looked pleased. You see now, he said. Immortality isn't the curse. Choice is. In the mirrors lining the walls, my reflection met my gaze. Its smile was wide and certain. And beneath my skin, something new stirred. Something that knew the price had already been paid, and wanted more. The velvet lounge smelled different after bloodshed. Not the sharp sweetness of feeding, not the electric tang of neon nights, but scorched velvet, spilled liquor, fear soaked so deep into the walls it would never come out. The fire alarms wailed somewhere above, useless and ignored. Humans were gone. Hunters were gone. What remained was us. And the dead weight of what I had done. I stood in the middle of the wreckage, my hands washed clean but still feeling slick. Every heartbeat I could hear carried accusation. The hunter's face replayed in my mind, young, resolute, breaking as my knife went in. I hadn't killed him. Not fully. But I had taken something he would never get back. Control, they said. Legends, not monsters. My reflection appeared in a cracked mirror behind the bar. Smoke curled through it, giving its grin a wavering edge. You enjoyed it, it said quietly. I didn't, I whispered. You drank like you were starving. I turned away, but the reflection followed me from shard to shard of broken glass. You felt alive, it pressed. More alive than you ever did breathing. Hands gripped my shoulders from behind. I stiffened, ready to strike, but it was the woman, the guide, the one who taught me how to ask before biting. Breathe, she said. If you still can. I realized I hadn't tried. The vampires gathered near the stage, where the singer's mic lay bent and useless. The velvet man stood among them, jacket unscorched, eyes bright. He surveyed the damage like a king counting fallen pieces on a board. They'll be back, someone said. Hunters don't forgive. No, the velvet man replied calmly. They escalate. He turned to me. You crossed a threshold tonight. I lost control, I said. You learned its cost, he corrected. That's different. He gestured, and the crowd parted to reveal something on the floor. A hunter bound in silver wire, unconscious but breathing. His chest rose and fell fast, panicked even in sleep. My hunger surged violently. Why is he here? I asked. Because the lounge requires balance, the velvet man said. Blood was spilled. Now blood must be offered. My reflection leaned close to my ear. This time, don't stop. The woman stepped in front of me, blocking my view. Careful, she warned the velvet man. Too soon, and you'll break them. He smiled thinly. Or temper them. The silver wire hummed, burning my ears. The hunter groaned, eyelids fluttering. His pulse thundered, loud enough to drown out thought. I felt my teeth ache again, sharp and impatient. "Your choice," the Velvet Man said. "Feed properly, measured, restrained, or refuse, and learn what hunger does when denied." My throat tightened. "That's not a choice." He shrugged. "Immortality never is." The hunter woke screaming. The sound tore through me like claws. My vision reddened. The mirrors exploded outward as my reflection stepped free, solid now, standing where I should have been. "You promised," it said, "not to them, but to me. You promised you wanted to live." I moved before anyone could stop me. I knelt beside the hunter, ignoring the burn of silver biting into my skin as I pulled his head back. He struggled weakly, eyes wild with terror. "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it more than anything I'd ever said before. I fed. But this time, I counted. 3 heartbeats. 4. I stopped at 5, tearing myself away as his blood screamed for me to take more. I pressed my forehead to the floor, shaking, forcing the hunger down until it became a dull, snarling thing chained inside my ribs. When I looked up, the vampires were silent. The Velvet Man nodded once. Approval. "You'll last," he said. "If you keep choosing pain over pleasure." The hunter was carried away, alive but broken, another secret buried beneath the city. Afterward, the lounge sealed itself. New velvet drapes replaced the burned ones. Neon flickered back to life. The illusion restored. But I couldn't unsee the cracks. In a private room, the woman sat with me as the city crept toward dawn. "It gets worse," she said honestly. "The hunger. The reflection. The choices. Why stay?" I asked. She smiled sadly. "Because the alternative is letting it win." "What happens if it does?" She didn't answer. When she left, I stared into the mirror. My reflection stared back, expression unreadable now. "You think you won," it said. "But you fed me tonight." "I starved you," I said. It laughed softly. "You taught me patience." The lights dimmed as the sun threatened the horizon. Somewhere deep beneath the lounge, the pool stirred, memories shifting in their prison. I felt something tug inside me, my anchor, drowned but not gone. Outside, sirens wailed again. Hunters regrouping. Humans oblivious. The city turning, fragile and loud. And inside me, the hunger settled in, calm and confident, like it knew time was on its side. Because immortality didn't mean forever. It meant waiting. By the 3rd night, the city knew me. Not by face. By absence. Streetlights flickered when I passed beneath them. Dogs whimpered and pulled at their leashes. Conversations thinned out around me, words dissolving into uneasy silence. I wasn't invisible, I was wrong, and the world sensed it the way prey senses a shift in the air before the strike. The Velvet Lounge had stopped feeling like a sanctuary. It felt like a mouth. I was sent out alone now. No guide. No rules whispered in my ear. Just a simple instruction from the Velvet Man before I left. Bring something back. Not blood. Proof. The reflection walked beside me in every window, every dark car door, every pool of oil-slick rainwater. It no longer needed mirrors. It had learned how to exist wherever doubt lived. "You're hesitating again," it said, amused. "That's cute." "I'm thinking," I replied. "Same thing," it laughed. I followed a sound, not a heartbeat this time, but a prayer. It leaked out of a rundown church wedged between a liquor store and a boarded-up pharmacy. Inside, a handful of people knelt in flickering candlelight, murmuring words meant to keep monsters away. Their fear tasted different. Older. Sharper. One man stood apart from the others. Middle-aged. Scarred hands. Eyes that had seen too much and refused to close. Around his neck hung silver etched with symbols that made my skin crawl. A hunter. My hunger surged, not wild, but focused. Precise. Careful, my reflection warned. This one bites. A daughter he no longer visited because the smell of blood made her cry. For the first time since my turning, something other than hunger twisted in my chest. You don't have to do this, I said. He raised his gun. Neither did you. The shot came fast. Silver tore through my shoulder, exploding pain across my nerves. I screamed, actually screamed, as I hit the floor. The church erupted into chaos, people running, prayers breaking into sobs. My reflection crouched over me, eyes burning. Now, it hissed. Now you earn it. I didn't. I lunged anyway. We crashed into the pews, splintering wood. He fought hard, trained, desperate, fueled by hate and faith, but I was stronger. Faster. I pinned him against the altar, his pulse roaring in my ears. Do it, my reflection demanded. Take him. Bring proof. I leaned close enough to smell gun oil and sweat. His fear spiked, but beneath it was resolve. He had already accepted dying. That scared me more than anything. I bit him, but not to feed. I broke the skin and listened. His blood carried truth like fire, maps of tunnels beneath the city, names of vampires whispered like curses, a date circled in red. An attack. A full purge. I pulled away, gasping, leaving him alive and stunned. I vanished into the night before he could fire again. When I returned to the Velvet Lounge, alarms were already sounding, low and subterranean. Vampires moved fast, weapons out, faces stripped of elegance. The Velvet Man met me at the stairs. One look at my wound and he knew. They're coming, I said. Soon. And they know everything. His smile didn't fade. Of course they do. We let them. The words hit harder than silver. This isn't just a club, he continued. It's a lure. Always has been. My reflection stood beside him now, perfectly still. You were never meant to survive, it said gently. You were meant to choose. The pool beneath the lounge began to churn. The memories trapped inside screamed as the walls trembled. Vampires gathered, some terrified, some exultant. What do you want from me? I demanded. The Velvet Man stepped aside, revealing the pool, now glowing faintly, my stolen memories rising to the surface. Bring us dawn, he said. The meaning slammed into me with horrifying clarity. Or burn with us, my reflection added. Above, the city prepared to tear itself open. Below, the Velvet Lounge bared its teeth. And somewhere in between stood me, monster, mirror, mistake, about to decide whether immortality was worth damning the night itself. The sirens grew closer. The night whispered my name. And it did not sound forgiving. The night didn't wait for my answer. It broke. Sirens wailed from every direction, harmonizing into a single, rising scream. The Velvet Lounge shuddered as if the building itself understood what was coming and wanted to crawl away. Above us, the city's lights flickered, one by one, block by block, until the neon bled out and darkness rushed in to fill the space. Hunters flooded the streets. Not just a few. Not scouts. An army. They mean to end us, someone hissed. No, the Velvet Man corrected calmly. They mean to cleanse us. The pool beneath the lounge boiled now, black liquid sloshing against the stone. My memories clawed at the surface, faces without names, emotions without anchors. I felt hollow and overfull at the same time, like something vital had been replaced with static. Bring us dawn, the Velvet Man repeated. I finally understood the full cruelty of it. They wanted me to die in the sun. Not as punishment, but as spectacle. Proof that the Velvet Lounge could control even the one thing vampires feared most. A martyr made of stolen humanity. My reflection stepped closer, its voice almost tender. You could end this, it said. Walk into the light. Burn. Let them remember you as the one who stopped it. And you? I asked. It smiled. I'll be free either way. The ceiling exploded inward. Silver fire rained down. Hunters crashed through smoke and shattered velvet, chanting prayers that sliced through my skull. Vampires screamed, some in rage, some in ecstasy, as bullets tore through ancient flesh. Blood painted the walls, black and red and shining. The Velvet Lounge became what it had always pretended not to be. A slaughterhouse. I moved without thinking. Instinct took over. I tore silver from my shoulder and snapped a hunter's neck before his prayer finished. Another fell to my knife. Blood sprayed hot across my face, and the hunger surged, wild, triumphant, unashamed. Yes, my reflection purred. This is who you are. No, I said aloud, even as I fed. This is who you made. I saw the woman, the guide, pinned beneath rubble, her perfect face cracked, fury blazing in her eyes. I pulled her free, throwing her into shadow as fire licked across the floor. Go, I told her. She stared at me, something like awe cutting through her terror. What are you doing? Ending it. I ran. Not up. Not toward the streets. Down. The pool roared as I reached it, memories screaming loud enough to drown out gunfire. The Velvet Man turned as I approached, finally surprised. Don't, he warned. I stepped into the black liquid. Pain unlike anything I'd known tore through me. The memories slammed back into my body all at once, love, grief, warmth, fear, burning hotter than sunlight. I screamed as the pool tried to keep me, as the lounge itself fought to hold what it owned. My reflection surfaced in front of me, furious now. You'll destroy us. That's the point, I gasped. I plunged my hands into the liquid and pulled. The pool shattered. Memories burst outward in a psychic wave, decades, centuries of stolen lives screaming free. Vampires dropped where they stood, howling as anchors snapped and hunger turned feral. The Velvet Lounge convulsed, walls cracking, neon imploding in a rain of glass. Above, hunters fled as the building collapsed in on itself, swallowed by fire and shadow. I stumbled out into the street as dawn broke. The sun hit me like judgment. My skin ignited. Pain consumed everything. I fell to my knees as the city watched, unaware of what I was seeing, what I was feeling. My reflection knelt in front of me, burning too, its features blurring. You could have lived forever, it whispered. So could you, I said. But you wanted more. It smiled one last time as it dissolved. I wanted you. The fire reached my chest. My vision washed white. Then, darkness. I woke in an alley hours later, smoke rising from my clothes. Alive. Barely. The sun was higher now, but it didn't kill me. It hurt, God, it hurt, but it didn't end me. Whatever I was no longer fully vampire. Or human. The Velvet Lounge was gone. Just a crater and whispers on the wind. Hunters spoke of a massacre, of monsters tearing each other apart. They never spoke of me. At night, the city still flickers when I pass. Sometimes I see my reflection again, not in mirrors, but in dreams. It doesn't smile anymore. It just watches. Waiting. Because immortality was never the real curse. The real horror was surviving the night. And realizing it survived you.